everyone, welcome to After Class with Ballet for All,
a podcast by two passionate adult ballerinas about all things adult ballet related.
and some random thoughts in between.
We're so glad you're here.
So grab your water bottle
Or a cup of coffee.
and join us for a quick chat after class. Hello, Hannah. How you doing today after your Pointe class?
It was a good day for Pointe. I feel like there was some hurdles that I was able to overcome today. And yeah, kind of leads us perfectly into the episode, which is today we're going to be talking about just the mental side of Pointe as an adult dancer, because really, I know we've talked a lot about this, Elena, in my lessons, but I think for me and a lot of other adults that I've talked to that are starting Pointe or coming back to Pointe as an adult, the mental side is, I think, in some ways just as challenging, potentially even more challenging. Like for me, I would say it's been more challenging, the mental side, than the physical, just because of fear and uncertainty and not wanting to get injured and all these things that I think as a kid, you're just a little more fearless. That's what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, so I think I would like to put a little bit more in context of what your ballet, your Pointe class looks like at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone knows like how long you've been learning for, what it's Pointe class for you looks like. So they kind of understand why we're talking about mental. So let's kind of say that Hannah is our experiment for the podcast, yeah? So Hannah always had the group class, and then she had Pointe. At the moment, we are only doing 30 minutes for Pointe. However, we get done lots. And mostly lately, since I have seen that you all have very strong ankles, like I can see your technique is very stable. Your strength is constant as well. So we start with a articulation exercise for you. Then we move to a plie, relevés in all basic positions. So from then, we also been doing échappés. So there was a moment where we stopped doing échappés for a while. Like I will say for a long while, we stopped doing échappés. And the reason why we stopped, it wasn't because Hannah wasn't physically ready. You were physically ready, but there was something mentally stopping you from going from two legs plie and just stretching up on the point and closing. Like I remember telling you, you have to commit. You have to decide going on Pointe and you just need to stretch. How was that moment, Hannah, when we had to stop doing the échappés? Like what were you feeling? What was happening?
I think I think this is probably common in dancers, like because I think there is a personality type that tends to dance ballet to some degree, and I would say it tends to be kind of the perfectionist. And I think for me, when I'm not getting something, the frustration comes in, and it can lead to like a level of self-destructing that is not productive. And so it's funny, I wish I could remember where I heard this, if it was on social media or on YouTube or something, but it was actually, it might have been my in-person teacher, was talking about just that it's okay to like walk away from something for a little bit. And I know, Yelena, you and I have talked about this too.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need to take a step back from a certain step or exercise and let yourself kind of breathe from it mentally. Because for me with échappés, I was just hitting this point where I was like so in my head about it that they weren't getting any better. I think they were actually getting worse the more I was doing them. And we took probably like a month, maybe 2 months, where we just didn't really do them. We just focused on other things. And then it was like when I came back to them, the mental block just was kind of gone for some reason. And I was doing them much better after taking a break. And so I'm really glad that you were good with that. And it's been really nice to hear that even reaffirmed in other places lately, of just hearing like it's healthy sometimes to step back from something.
I see that happening a lot. And it's not just with the Pointe classes. Like, I don't know if you remember, we talked about it once when I said, I think it was happening. You were like, I need to do my double pirouettes, not in Pointe, just in your demi-point class long time ago. And I remember you were like, I just need to do the doubles and doubles and doubles. I'm like, Hannah, it's not just going about double, because you can go and you can go in pirouette and fall and pirouette and lose the balance and pirouette. And I'm just like, you need to stop, because there is a moment where you don't create anything but bad habits.
Yep.
And that's the thing. You just get so worked out and you just like, I gotta do it. I'm gonna do it. What am I doing this? What am I doing that? And you just keep falling and falling. And it gets worse and worse and worse. And what can happen is you just create the bad habit that we're trying to avoid. So if that happens to you with your pirouettes, with your petit allegros, with your touring arabesque, just stop. Leave it for next class. You will surprise yourself when you just relax, disconnect. Sometimes in ballet, you need to let go. In ballet, it's very technical and we need to think of where steps come from and all that and blah, blah. But the reality is sometimes we have to think less and just let your body go with the flow. Your body has that muscle memory. Your body already learned the sequence, learned the movement. So just let your body sometimes to guide you. And I think that that's what happened with your HFS. You exactly what you explained. You just got so frustrated that you were blocking your body. Then you reset, you came back, and now we're doing HFS in the center.
You know, it's so funny. Like ballet in general, especially Pointe, I think is this really funny mix of obviously having to be very mentally engaged, but also you can definitely overthink it.
It's so much true.
It's like both. Like, yes, you have to. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, yeah, just turn off your brain. Like, it's totally fine. Like, you definitely, there's a ton to think about, but you can totally overthink it and mess yourself up. And like
For
sometimes,
no reason.
yeah, and sometimes like thinking less. It's like when I am just, and it's funny because like I feel like this happens all the time with if you're someone who practices on your own time, you know, when you're not in class and you're kind of more relaxed because you don't feel like a teacher's watching you or whatever it is. A lot of times you'll do things better when no one's watching and you're like, dang it, like why was no one here to see that? But I think it's because you're thinking less in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're not like overthinking about, oh my gosh, someone's watching. So it's funny how the mental side is like just such a big part of ballet training in general, but really with Pointe, like I think that was so surprising to me about my Pointe journey. Obviously, you know, when you're starting, you're so much thinking about, is my body ready for this? Can my body handle this? Am I strong enough? Like, do I need to be doing more ankle strength? You're thinking so much about the physical side, and it's been so much more the mental side for me of certain things that scare me to do. And like we were talking about earlier, taking your hands off the bar. And that to me has been the way harder part. And
but it is interesting, Hannah, because you are lucky, not lucky, but you have me on your classes and you are not doing it alone anymore. And of course, you're paying for the service of having that direct feedback and for a professional person to notice when you are physically ready so she can push you or he can push you mentally.
Yeah, and it's so good. Like, I think is it one of our last classes, it was the first time that I had done coupe releve in the center with no hands on the bar. And that's been one that's been kind of a mental block for me of just that motion of pushing up from a plie and scooping, you know, my back foot up or my front foot if it's depending on which leg you're having me do. And yeah, I've been really scared to do it. And I think in my mind, the narrative was just like, you're not strong enough yet. You're not strong enough yet. You're not strong enough. And I think, like you said, it's one of the many values of having a teacher is that sometimes, I know for me, and I think this is probably true for a lot of adults, is we need someone to be like, hey, you're ready. Just do it.
Exactly.
And like, I need that.
Literally what happened.
Yeah. Like, I need someone to tell me, no, you are ready. I've been watching you dance. I'm a professional. I'm telling you, you're ready. So you just need to be mentally ready and commit to it and just do it. Because like you said, you can't hesitate. And I mean, literally in Pointe doing an exercise, you can't hesitate. You have to go straight up. You know what I mean? There can't be this moment of the in between because that's when your ankle is at that really vulnerable place. So if you hesitate in that position, that is when you're gonna like sprain your ankle or do something weird. And so there's just not room for that hesitation. And I think that is when you just need a teacher that can give you that tough love.
That's so much true.
You have to have good teachers in in ballet and especially in Pointe, because I think for everyone there, you have moments in your journey where like your own belief in yourself wavers or runs out. Your internal voice is like, oh my gosh, no, I can't do this. It's too hard. I'm not right. And like, you have to have good teachers that can tell you, you can do this. Like, I believe in you, even if you're not believing in yourself right now. Because like, I honestly, 100%, I know for a fact that I would not have continued and made it as far as I have in Pointe. Like, I would have quit a long time ago if I didn't have you coaching me and saying like, no, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. Because I think it's just human nature, that at some point we all kind of have that moment where we're like, I can't, and you need someone else.
I definitely agree. And the other thing that it's very important at this point, the only reason why you are ready mentally is because there was a preparation physically. We didn't go from A to B just by doing A and then we did B. We did an entire process of preparation in between A and B. We didn't go straight to Susus in fifth and then coup de pieds. We did lots of Susus in fifth, lots. And we just did one coup de pied. So there is a whole planning process of classes. Mm-hmm. And only professionals can do that for you.
If you have a good teacher and you're really putting in the time and like the hours into building your strength, it's really just a matter of believing that you can do it. That's really the hurdle, and having faith in the work that you've put in. Trust your training is something that I say to myself a lot, because it's like, you're not just trying to do something that you haven't prepared for or put in the work for. You have trained to be able to do this. So now trust that training is going to like activate for you in this moment. And so I think that's a huge part of, the mental side is trusting your training, trusting the work that you've put in, assuming you have put it in. I think another interesting part too is your inner monologue. When you're doing Pointe, because like I've noticed for me that sometimes when we're doing something that's hard or scary for me, if my mind is thinking, oh my gosh, like I'm not doing as well as if I'm thinking, you got this, go for it, you can do it, And so I think, as cheesy as it sounds, if you're struggling with the mental side of it, notice how you're talking to yourself and try to change it. If it's not positive, if it's not cheering you on, try to be really conscious about what the phrases are that are running through your head when you're doing things that scare you on Pointe.
Like every class we do, I'm always telling you, don't hesitate. I can't see you going to a point without really committing to it, without really convincing yourself, okay, we're going to do plie relevé on Pointe, and that's it. And if that's the exercise that you're doing, just do that. And think what is involved into it. Plie and going all the way to a point, stretching your legs and pulling up. Just think of what you're doing. Just go up, down, stretch and down, and control. There's so many chances for error, mistakes, and risk of getting injured on Pointe that if you're on top of, they already exist by themselves without you being scared. Can you imagine what can happen when you are already scared and putting yourself down and tucking yourself down? Oh no way.
Yeah, one thing I think is interesting too that I've recently just been hearing a lot about is probably because of the Olympics being on, but just was like how athletes use visualization to really help with their training. And I think that's so great for Pointe too, for the mental aspect of it, is like visualizing yourself doing it and doing it well. Because I think that the more you mentally have that image and you kind of fixate on that image, the more it gives you confidence to actually do it that way.
Yeah.
And so I think visualization is such an interesting psychological thing. Like, I want to learn more about it, but it totally makes sense to me because it's similar in what we were just saying about your self-talk. It's like, if you are saying positive things, like, you're more likely to attacking
I like
in that
it.
way. And if you're visualizing positive things, like don't visualize yourself like snapping your ankle when you're trying to attempt, doing the pirouette on point for the first time. Visualize yourself doing it great and doing it well.
I think the takeaway from this episode is you can be your worst enemy sometimes.
Yep.
That's a takeaway.
I know I can.
It's we already talked about how much courage it takes for you as an adult to just be here and in ballet class, putting your leotards and doing that much training. If you already have the courage to be on point, why would you beat yourself down? You're already here, you're already dressed, you're already on point. Now visualize yourself doing the most graceful échappée or pas de bourrée ever. And if you're not to the point when you can do échappées, don't beat yourself because you can't do échappées. There's so much more that you can do. What about pas de bourrées at the bar? Get to one corner of your bar and just do pas de bourrée facing the bar all the way to the other end of the bar, holding the bar, comfortable, in a comfortable environment.
Yeah.
You don't need to push yourself to the edge. Just doesn't work that way.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot that goes into Pointe mentally, and we understand. I definitely understand. So I hope that this episode was helpful and relatable and maybe gave you some ideas even for how you can improve your own mental game as you're on your Pointe journey. So we hope you guys enjoyed this one.
And if you need any feedbacks, if you need any more information on how to work points with me, send me a message or go to my website and I will love to find a way to help you.
Also, too, yours are very, very affordable. So for people that might just automatically assume like, oh, there's no way I can afford it because you're used to Pointe privates costing, $100 an hour. That is not the case with Yelena. It's very affordable. That's how I'm able to take privates consistently. So her information for her website is linked, and that's where people can book a private with you, right? Is through your website.
Yeah.
So definitely check it out. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening to After Class with Ballet for All.
Join the community on YouTube and Instagram, or come dance with us, our weekly Zoom classes for adult ballerinas like you.
Links included in the episode description. Special thank you to our sponsors.
See you next time after class. Podcast produced by Mission Bridge Media.